Wednesday, Vikings returns to the History Channel, and according to the creator of the show, Michael Hurst, the second half of Season 5 will be its most intense and revealing to date. So in this video, we'll discuss everything you need to know for the back half of Season 5. The return of Rollo to Viking culture is going to bring more chaos into an already jam-packed plot centering around Kattegat. His return comes with a hidden agenda, and I've felt this way ever since he connected with Hvitserk in the first half of Season 5. Hvitserk was instrumental in helping Rollo return to Kattegat, and I don't think it's a stretch to suggest if either Bjorn or Lagertha were in power, they almost certainly would have killed Rollo for betraying their people. Rollo must feel like it would be easier to deal with Ivar than Bjorn or Lagertha, meaning that he used Hvitserk to get back to Kattegat. And with Ivar's unstable personality and Rollo's personal ambitions, it could point us in a direction of a future conflict between Rollo and Ivar. Rollo has always been ambitious, and while it is a given that Rollo is there to take political advantage of the situation, perhaps offering Ivar a deal to become trade partners or help each other in future conflicts might make some sense, but Rollo betrayed his people and converted to Christianity to achieve the fame he always wanted. Michael Hurst said in a recent interview, of course his real reason for going back to Kattegat is very different and personal and private. It is to do with unfinished business as he sees it in his relationship with Lagertha. However, achieving power doesn't always mean that person has everything they want. Rollo is the Duke of Normandy, and Gisla gave him sons and a new family. But Rollo was always jealous of Ragnar and Lagertha's love, and we see in one of the teaser trailers that Rollo admits to Lagertha that he has always loved her. But to achieve your goals, you have to make sacrifices, and it's pretty clear that Rollo had to sacrifice his old life for his new one. And my bet is on Rollo not opposing Lagertha or Bjorn. It is said that in history that Rollo tried to reconnect with Viking culture as he struggled with religion and the idea of not going to Valhalla because of his betrayals. Perhaps he feels like he may redeem himself if he returns and somehow helps someone like Hvitserk, who was in a similar position that he was for the majority of his life. Clive Standen mentioned in a recent interview that Rollo sees himself within Hvitserk, and that while he doesn't love Hvitserk like he loves Bjorn, he feels sympathy for him. Perhaps in his mind, this will help with the idea of redemption, and perhaps he truly does come full circle to reconnect with the Norse gods in his home. One thing is for sure is that Rollo is unpredictable, and I expect nothing less in the second half of Season 5. The first half of Season 5 showcased the war between Ragnar's sons, and with the focus being more so on Ivar discovering his power and cruelty, Hvitserk is in a much different position, still on a journey of self-discovery. Marco Islo, who plays Hvitserk, stated in a recent interview that Hvitserk has always been in the same place and that he doesn't know where to go. He's not one of the brothers who is most wanted there, and Rollo has been through the same thing, and that's why they connect so well. So when Rollo comes back, I think that's why Hvitserk is so stoked to see him. As I mentioned earlier, I think there's a pretty big possibility that Rollo may be using Hvitserk to leverage his political advantage in Kattegat, but if they team up to oppose Ivar, this could be a great launching point for Hvitserk to find out who he really is and begin his new path. There are a few interesting reveals in the trailer leading up to the second half of Season 5, and one that I found very interesting is that Ivar is watching Hvitserk sleep, and Hvitserk says, "What are you going to kill me next?" And the other shot is of Bjorn looking over Kattegat with the shaved head with Hvitserk by his side. Does this mean he will switch sides again and come to the realization that Ivar is unhinged and unfit to be the king of Kattegat and their people? Hvitserk has always struggled with being the son of Ragnar, and has been brought up many times to Ivar that he was coddled by their mother Aslog. But perhaps Bjorn and Rollo have a positive effect on Hvitserk's mindset and give him a larger role to carve out in the fight for Kattegat. In a recent interview, Michael Hurst stated, "He's an evolving character and I'd love to track that evolution right down to the point where he does realize why he jumped ship." It does look like in the second half of Season 5, Hvitserk will perhaps find the answers he's been looking for. After losing Kattegat in the war against Ivar, it looks as if Bjorn has one thought on his mind, and that is revenge. And Michael Hurst even stated in a recent interview that he will go to the ends of the earth literally to get that revenge. Deep within Bjorn, he knows that his fate is to take back Kattegat from Ivar before he destroys all of the progress that it has made as a trading hub and a center for Viking culture. There's no question that him and Lagertha had their sights set on returning to Kattegat and taking it back with force. There's no telling what Ivar would have done if he got his hands on Bjorn and Lagertha in Kattegat, so fleeing Kattegat for now seems like it was a good decision. However, it looks like they are going to get captured by King Alfred based on the teaser trailers we've been seeing leading up to the second half of Season 5. Perhaps this is a great opportunity to strike an allegiance with King Alfred, and maybe they can help each other out and strike a deal or some semblance of peace. And there's no doubt that Alfred will have his hands full as well, because not everyone was exactly happy about the way Judith intruded on Alfred's behalf and undermining Aethelred to become king. Both Bjorn and Lagertha have experience with these types of situations, and perhaps they can help Alfred put out some of the fires that are burning within his kingdom. It's also very interesting when Lagertha states in one of the more recent teaser trailers that people seek to harm Alfred and his reign. Perhaps Alfred and England make an agreement with Bjorn and Lagertha so long as they don't betray him for releasing him. And in turn, they will help protect England against the likes of King Harold and Ivar, and they can get a fleet and men to help them achieve the stages of their plan before waging war against Ivar and Kattegat. Bjorn and Torvi have mutually parted ways, and Ubbe and Torvi have found each other. But what about Bjorn? Will he ever find love again? If you look closely in the trailer, in what looks to be like moments before his assault on Kattegat, standing directly behind Bjorn is Porin, Bjorn's first wife. And we gotta remember that Torvi said to Bjorn that he really didn't love her, and perhaps the return of Bjorn's first wife will give him fire and passion he needs to push forward and take back what is most important to him, his home in Kattegat. But like I said, in order to achieve your goals, you have to make sacrifices, and perhaps he is going to alienate his allies and lose some support from the people in his corner as he is singularly focused on one goal, taking back Kattegat and killing Ivar. Lagertha has lost Kattegat, and she also had to kill Astrid, who is pregnant after being raped by several men. She is experiencing extreme pain and loss, so much so that her hair has turned completely white. Ivar still wants to kill her, and she has lost Kattegat, but it does look like she has once again found love and a deep relationship with Bishop Hegmund. But what about everyone else? Are they still on her side? Ubbe, Torvi, Bjorn? They all have their own ambitions, and her needs could get pushed to the bottom of the pile. Having to leave Kattegat was no doubt difficult, and it looks like she is questioning whether she will find safety on her new journey. And we see her ask Bishop Hegmund if he will betray her and hand her over to King Alfred, and it looks like he may want to avoid this situation as he has betrayed his own faith by helping the Viking people. It looks as if Bishop Hegmund will be reflecting on how he will be judged in the eyes of his own god and going through his own personal hell in the second half of Season 5. But a part of me thinks since Ragnar and Athelstan had such a solid relationship that Lagertha and Hegmund can also have the same thing. And perhaps Lagertha can also form a solid relationship with the newly crowned King Alfred, who is in the beginning of his journey as the King of England. Perhaps we see a similar dynamic between Lagertha and Alfred as we saw with Ragnar and Athelstan and Ragnar and King Ecbert. And Alfred very much has a mix of King Ecbert's and Athelstan's qualities, which Ragnar admired. Something that is interesting and has sparked the interest of the Vikings community is that Catherine Winnick has begun directing episodes for Vikings. It's interesting because she has been such a big part of the cast, but maybe we are seeing the end of the journeys for characters like herself, Floki, and even Bjorn. It's something that we definitely have to consider. And there's rumors that Michael Hurst made his final exit speech for Vikings Season 6B, which will be the final seasons of Vikings. So perhaps Lagertha will join her kin in Valhalla sometime in the second half of Season 5. But one thing is for certain, she won't let Ivar just kill her, and she won't go down without a fight. Ivar the Boneless is the new king of Kattegat, but is he a maniacal king? Absolutely. He took Ragnar's words to heart, "Be ruthless, Ivar," and instead of creating his own path, he is poisoned by this message, manipulated by the words of a dying man. But part of me thinks this is just Ivar embracing his true nature, and he is going to be the driving force behind the descent into darkness and the symbolic shaking of the earth in Ragnarok. But what's Ivar's next move? Is it to join forces with Rollo and Harold to eliminate Lagertha, Bjorn, and the rest of who oppose him? Will he be more ambitious and set his sights on England where his enemies have landed? Personally, I think it will start with the show of power, for his ambitions and cruelty will not align with all of his people. As I mentioned earlier, we have that creepy clip of him watching Hvitserk while he sleeps, and Hvitserk says, "Are you going to kill me next?" And we can only assume that the heads on spikes is Ivar showing his power in the streets of Kattegat to those that oppose him. Even the seer, who may not tell him what he likes to hear, may be in danger of losing his life, just because his prophecies don't fall in line with Ivar's goals. Thematically, I think sacrifice will be a big focus for Season 5B as a whole, as they are going to do the descent into the darkness and Ragnarok, one of my absolute favorite subjects to research and study. And another interesting piece of symbolism and perhaps foreshadowing is when Ivar's eye is reflecting the flames, symbolically like Odin's, perhaps showing that his dreams will burst into flames. And speaking of dreams, in a recent teaser trailer, it seems as if Ivar is having nightmares when Freydis stabs him in the chest. It does look like Ivar will be spiraling down into madness, becoming a Mad King with paranoid and delusion. Perhaps there is a saving grace though, and marriage and love will balance Ivar? Michael Hurst had some very interesting words in a recent interview. Anyone who shows Ivar what he thinks is real affection, even perhaps love, he's going to be at their mercy. It doesn't mean that he doesn't personally do terrible things, but you can understand the syndrome that he has. She sets him in motion in a way some of the greater cruelties that can happen in Kattegat, and yes, he's vulnerable. He's vulnerable to that manipulation, and she's an interesting character, and of course she manipulates the situation to give him what he wants, but it's clearly also at her advantage to do so. It will be very interesting to see how Ivar navigates the situation now that he has so much on his plate, being king and more enemies that he had before. And if Ivar truly wants to become the king of Kattegat, we'll have to make sacrifices as well. And sacrifice will be a major theme interwoven through all of these different perspectives and characters in Season 5. The second half of Season 5 is going to be jam-packed, everyone, and I, for one, can't wait to see what happens to all of these characters and the ones we haven't spoke about in detail, like Ube, Torvi, Alfred, Harold, and Floki. But good news, I will be doing more videos focused on these characters, and I will be doing episode reviews for each episode of Season 5B. I'm really excited about that. I will be doing a podcast with King McKay, another amazing YouTuber who makes Game of Thrones and Vikings content. You can check out his link in the description of this video. And of course, I will be getting hype, breaking down the teaser trailers for each upcoming episode, doing plenty of Viking content and theorization here on the channel. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you do want to get notified for future Vikings content here on the channel. And please leave your thoughts in the comment section and let me know what you are most excited for in the second half of Viking Season 5. Thanks again for watching. Skål!